That's right, Peter. I'm you, and you're me, and this is a gun.
So the long-awaited Moon Knight show starring Oscar Isaac has finally premiered, and this was one of the few shows on Disney Plus I was actually looking forward to, because Moon Knight is a character I didn't think they would ever touch or try to integrate into the MCU, because how dark the character can be with the source material, and just how bizarre he kinda is. And the MCU is typically a more lighthearted universe that doesn't get nearly as dark or violent, so I was really curious how they would do a Moon Knight show. And after seeing the first episode, I gotta say, not bad. For those who don't know, Moon Knight is about a fella named Stephen Grant, who has a tendency of blacking out and waking up in random places. He's always exhausted, he has difficulty sleeping, and the guy is kind of a stressed out mess, so I can relate. Then one day he wakes up out of town in possession of an ancient artifact, with some sketchy looking people chasing after him. Then on top of that, he hears a voice in his head and discovers that there's another personality inside of him, and that he may be living a double life as a mercenary. And that's basically the synopsis of the first episode. You see his day to day, you see him in a stressed out mess, you see him exhausted, then about halfway through the plot stuff starts to happen. So full disclosure, I don't know that much about Moon Knight. I know it involves a guy who has multiple personalities, gets his powers from the moon, and he serves an Egyptian god. So I won't be talking much how it does as an adaptation, just how it is as a show. So with that out of the way, let's get into the actual review. Impressive! So, the good. Oscar Isaac as Stephen Grant was pretty great. He's constantly exhausted and stressed out, and he sleeps like shit. But on top of that, he's not really the most confident guy. I know that he's going to be playing 3 different characters, and so far we're only properly introduced to Stephen Grant, with a hint of Mark towards the end. So we're going to have to wait and see how he handles the other personalities later on in the show. And I think nailing these different personalities will make or break the show as a whole, because that is one of the main aspects and draws of Moon Knight, the personalities inside of one body, and how they're all different from each other. But as of right now, from what I've seen, I think Oscar Isaac is a good lead. I'm really curious how he's going to handle the other personalities. Another thing I thought was pretty good was the action and the transitions with the editing. They were pretty damn creative. Like the moments where the camera zooms in close on Stephen's face, and then he blacks out, only to wake up in the aftermath of what just happened. It's pretty creative and it's also fun. Although we didn't get to see Moon Knight himself in the suit, we only get a glimpse of that towards the end. So I'm looking forward to how they're going to handle the fight scenes and the action when he's actually in the suit. Speaking of the action, I'm actually surprised about the amount of blood. Kinda gives me the Netflix Marvel show vibes, which is good. It is TV-14 and not TVMA, but just seeing the blood actually surprised me and I appreciated it. It's kinda giving us a glimpse on how violent the show will be. It's actually a relief seeing that they aren't going to hold back. I know it's kind of a weird thing to praise, but just knowing how dark Moon Knight can get and how violent he is, I'm just surprised about how bloody and violent that's probably going to get, especially in a show taking place in the MCU made by Disney. And something else I want to highlight is the humor. There are jokes here and there, and honestly, I don't mind them, because it's not the typical quippy, pop culture referential humor that the MCU is known for. Instead, it's more situational humor, and the character's reactions to what's happening that makes it funny. Like the scene where Stephen is in town is a good example of this. He doesn't have full control of his body, so it stops him from handing over the scarab, and he keeps blacking out and waking up with no memory of what just happened, and the little bits of humor come from his reaction. And then this continues in the car chase scene that happens moments later. Now, nothing is laugh out loud hilarious in this show, which is fine, I'm completely okay with that, but for the attempts at humor that are there, I do think it works pretty well. Nothing really felt that awkward or forced. Now, there are really only just a few weak spots in this otherwise really good episode. The first of which is the CGI. It's a little spotty and not the best, mainly in the car chase scene with the trees, and then towards the end when he's being chased by a monster. It isn't the best looking CGI, but honestly it wasn't terrible. Although we'll see how it looks later on in the show, but as of right now, it didn't take me out of the experience. Now, all the characters as a whole are fine, with Oscar Isaac of course being good, but the only one that I'm actually a little mixed on is Ethan Hawke's character. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with the character himself, but I feel like Ethan Hawke is just not giving it his all, and sometimes he comes across as just a little bored. Now, I like Ethan Hawke, he's a good actor, and I wouldn't say he's bad in this role, he just seems very disinterested. We'll see how I feel about the character as the show continues. Yeah, those are my only 2 negatives. Everything else, I thoroughly enjoyed. I think this was a pretty good premiere, and I think it sets up a lot of intriguing plot points to see where to go later on. You know, like what is a scarab? What does it do? Who are these people after it? Who's this other personality that occupies Stephen's body? So I'm definitely interested in seeing where this goes. And of course, I asked you guys, what did you think about the series premiere? And the comments I got were very positive. A lot of people really enjoyed it. Some thought it was a little bit too slow with saving the better stuff later on, and other people like me were actually shocked about how bloody it was, and looking forward to how violent and bloody it could possibly get. And now I'm asking you guys, what do you think about the Moon Knight premiere? Leave a comment and let me know. I'm definitely hooked, and I'm looking forward to the next episode. And I decided instead of reviewing it episode by episode every week, instead I'm gonna wait for the season to end, and then get my thoughts on it as a whole. But to mix things up, I'm gonna have on my heterosexual life partner, who actually knows more about Moon Knight than I do, and we're gonna split the video up into 2 sections. A non-fan review, which will be me, and a fans review, which will be him. Gonna be exactly how my Mortal Kombat video was, so look forward to that. So in short, I liked it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. And that's gonna do it for the video. Thanks for watching.
I'm gonna come.
Every poo-poo is pee-pee time. But not every pee-pee is poo-poo time. Huh? You ever think about that one, Mr. Batman? Huh?